Hi everyone and welcome to the second episode of Draw With Me. Today I am again drawing on my iPad in Procreate and we are painting Blossom because I already drew her, blah, blah, blah. Silly me. This is the second time that I'm recording this 30-minute session because I just finished, what the hell? I'm a bit preoccupied in my head right now because I just recorded for 30 minutes and I couldn't use the audio at all because it picked up some kind of weird like noise, and I can't edit it out and it's completely unusable. So I just spent 30 minutes talking about this and everything happening on Earth at the moment, and it's useless, so I'm doing it again. It's always good to sometimes repeat yourself, you just learn quicker. So if I'm talking a bit weird or slow paced or stumbling over my words, it's just because I'm really exhausted right now from recording for so long and now I have to do it all again. So yeah, whatever, that kind of shit happens sometimes when you do YouTube videos, it sucks. And I just did a whole bunch of tests and I really hope it's not going to do it again. I might take a break and figure it out, but whatever. Anyway, we're drawing or painting Blossom from the Powerpuff Girls, and it's been on my wish list for a while now to repaint the three girls in my own style and develop them further. Like they've grown older and maybe they're in high school or college or I don't know. And I wanted to do my own take on them, so this is where we've gotten, hehe. And I won't probably be talking all the time, I will be having small breaks to catch my breath and figure out the next thing I'm going to talk about, because I just had everything figured out and now I have to kind of remember what I talked about. And feel free to mute me as well and put on your own music if you would like. These Draw With Me videos are still very new to me, so I'm just getting used to finding a balance between not only what to talk about, but also how much. One of the ways that I enjoy painting in Procreate at this moment, especially for flats, is that I just, maybe you saw it, but I'm going to do it again now on the legs. I'm creating like a frame with the color, and then I'm just dropping in the color. Sometimes you got to do a little overpaint where the frame is, because you can kind of like see the background going through, but Procreate is actually really good at filling out those spaces itself, so you can always double check by then suddenly having a neon background or a black background and see if any of the pixels go through. But you'll see me probably do it a couple of times here where I just like do the frame around something I want to paint and then just drop the color in. It's a really nice feature Procreate has, and it's kind of similar to the paint bucket tool in Photoshop, but I only think that this one has better coverage of the area. I'm not going to spend too much time talking about my relationship to this cartoon, the Powerpuff Girls, because it's just a cartoon that I watched growing up and that I really enjoyed, and no matter what episode or how many times I've watched it, I could always sit down and watch it when it was on television. And I did some fan art of it, of course, a lot back when I was a kid too, but I thought it was time to look into it again and give it a go, because it's a cartoon that means a lot to me that I don't really often talk about, but so here we are. And that's about my relationship with it. It was a cartoon that I really enjoyed. It's not much more than that. And I tried somewhat to be true to the design of the original character, at least the color scheme. I picked off some of the colors from Blossom in the reference picture that I have and altered them a bit in some cases and used them. I even gave Blossom a black belt to reference the black stripe on her dress. And of course some stockings as well. I changed the hair color a little bit because I mean, Blossom's hair color changes a bit, or actually a lot, I think, throughout the seasons, and I'm not really a big fan of the late seasons. I only really like the seasons from back when I was a kid, many years ago. And I decided to just use a color for the hair that I thought would suit well with the rest of the color scheme, so it is a bit darker than the one in the reference. Oh, and here I want to have like a white t-shirt for her, but if I paint white onto a white background, I can't see the areas I painted and the areas I didn't, so I'm just using a temporary color that is darker in this case. And then afterwards I'm going to use the feature in Procreate called Recolor, where I pick up the color I want to change another color into, and then you can kind of like target it with like a little cross. You can see it here where I'm moving it back and forth in just a minute. So right now it tries to color the rest of the picture, but when I move it over the colored area, it will only recolor that area. It's really handy, because if you had, say, all of your flats in the same layer in Procreate, you recolor the hair, the rest of the flats will be affected by that color change. So that means, and that's both good and bad, right? So if I only want to recolor the hair, you might need to adjust the threshold a bit, which you'll also see me do in a minute, where only one of the socks will get the recolor. But in a case where you are discovering colors or trying different color schemes, it's really handy, because you can paint in all the flats and basically merge all of your layers together so you have one final illustration, and then when you go in and say, I don't want this part to be blue, I want it to be green, the rest of the image will adapt to that. So you can, for instance, easily make the picture darker or brighter with another color, or change skin color, and the hair will kind of adapt to that as well. It's really cool. You should check it out if you have Procreate. I decided to give Blossom some awesome buffalo-like shoes, because I recently got a pair of buffalo shoes and I really love them. They look extremely uncomfortable to go in, but they are actually really good. I brought them to New York when we were there this summer, and I had a lot of days where I just walked around in my buffaloes, and I thought they were really comfy despite how tall they look. And I also had a lot of Americans asking me in the street what kind of shoes they were and where they could get them. And since I couldn't find any place over there to get buffaloes, I couldn't really help. I could only tell, hey, it's buffaloes. They were big in the 90s, look them up. But they're really cool, and I think Blossom is confident enough to rock these shoes. So yeah, I also have this weird thing lately. I really love drawing shoes. It's really weird, actually, I think. We all have something we love to draw, right? Faces and hair are my top list, but for some reason shoes have snuck up there as well. And I hate drawing feet. I just like drawing shoes. It's really weird and I can't explain it. I'm sorry for being a weird artist. We all have our pet peeves, right? Shoes. So anyway, while I'm just finishing up the flats here, I'm going to mention that you will not be seeing the entire video here, because then I would have had to speed it up much more. And the idea of these Draw With Me is to keep it as slow as possible without it necessarily being real time, because then you will probably... I'm a slow artist. I'm a really slow artist, and you'll probably not see me create anything besides from just the initial sketch if I would keep these videos in real time every time. So this one is sped up by 160%, so not double, but just over halfway. And the full video, I'm not sure if it will be real time, I don't think so, but the full video will be available once my Patreon relaunches probably next month. Maybe not until November, but I'm relaunching my Patreon and I am starting to edit a bit in the rewards and in the tiers, because if you saw my previous Talk With Me video, you probably noticed that I told you that the place where I worked part-time as an illustrator went bankrupt recently, so I don't have that job anymore, sadly. So I'm back to being full-time self-employed artist, so I thought that was a good idea to relaunch my Patreon now after being on hiatus since, I think it's April? Yeah, I think it's April, and then I've been just making small updates for everyone to see now and then, just to tell how everything is going and showing off some stuff for those who are actually sticking around. So I'm doing some minor changes right now to the tiers and the rewards, because I don't have the time right now to put, like make exclusive new content for Patreon. But if I can reuse stuff that I already making for, let's say, YouTube or Instagram or something completely else, my portfolio or whatever, that would be an excellent addition to my Patreon. So I'm putting in some new stuff in the rewards, and one of the upgrades will be that I will upload slow and or real-time video versions of what's going on my YouTube. So when we're done painting this in about 18 minutes or so, I'm about halfway with it, and the full video of the entire process will be available on my Patreon as part of the first package when I relaunch. If you want to be updated about my Patreon and the relaunch and what kind of stuff I'm going to do over there, you can find the link to my Patreon in the description below. You can just give my Patreon page a follow. You don't necessarily have to become a patron to follow the stuff that I do there. But of course, obviously you need to be a patron to receive the rewards, but you can still see all the public posts that I'm doing and the rewards that I'm considering. And yeah, I'm also looking for new goals, tier goals actually. So no, stretch goals. It's called stretch goals, not tier goals. Stretch goals with new tiers. So if you have any ideas, I'm also very open to that. And speaking of being open to stuff, these Draw With Me videos, I'm also very open to constructive criticism. Am I talking too much? Is the music too loud? Are they too long, too short? Whatever, as long as it's constructive criticism, I'm open and taking it all in. So if you have something you think could improve them, just tell me below and everything will be considered. So after I lay down the flats, I usually move to the part where I start coloring the line art. And I don't always do this. It really depends on how it ends up looking, because I color my lines on separate layers that are clipping down to the actual line art layer. So if I get to the end of the process with the drawing, I can always turn those layers off and see how it will look with black line art. And sometimes I actually go back to the black line art just because it looks better. But I really want a vibrant and soft look on these girls, so I'm going to color the line arts in. And usually what I do to pick the color for the line art is that I pick up the color that I use for the flats, and then I make it a lot darker and sometimes also a lot more saturated. The color that I use for the lines on the hair here are actually changing in a bit because I think they're too light, and it gives a kind of weird look because the rest of the lines on the drawing are rather dark. So it's kind of like the hair is its own entity or something, and it looks a bit weird. So I'm making the lines on the hair a bit darker in not too long time. I know it's kind of hard to see here, but I am actually recoloring the lines on the skirt. It's just a really dark red color, so it doesn't stand out so much on my webcam from the black color, but I am definitely coloring them. And then I was a little bit in doubt whether, how light I should paint the lines around the lighter areas, because I don't want it to look like the hair I mentioned before, like it's its own entity, like it's not framed as well as the other shapes. But since I'm using different colors for the different parts of her outfit, I think they frame each other in enough that I can easily use a really light color for the lines on the white parts, like the stockings and the t-shirt. Oh guys, and by the way, 100,000 subscribers. I can't even keep my cool around saying that out loud. That's insane. I mean, what are you doing here? I'm just silly uploading stuff, and for some reason you really like it and I enjoy it, and you guys are the sweetest people ever. I mean, I'm so grateful for you being here. I'm speechless. I can't even make a sentence. I am really grateful. And I will be posting a 100k celebration video, but I still need to figure out exactly what I want to do. I was thinking, getting a bit inspired by Russ Draws, that I really love, to do some redraw of subscribers art, because I really love that kind of videos myself. Everything that is, you know, the exciting feeling you get when you know a character, or you saw a design, or you watched one interpretation of something and then someone else comes in and do their interpretation, and you can get an insight into their design choices. And I really love that kind of video. So everything that is redrawing or draw this in your style or something like that, that's probably one of my favorite videos. That and inspiring vlogs or artist workspace tours and stuff like that, which I still owe you from the new place where we have lived for almost half a year now, but the office is just not done yet, and I don't want to make like a temporary messy workspace tour. I want to actually make it when I've designed the place like I want it. So it's going to be probably a while yet before that comes out, but I'm going to do the 100,000 subscribers special. And yeah, I think redrawing subscribers art would be a great way to celebrate. Maybe a giveaway, but I think that would have to wait to another time because don't have a part-time job anymore, so I don't have enough money. I might even have to open up commission soon just to get something on my savings account as well, because stuff will be happening in the future. Anyway, I have moved on to shading Blossom's face. And I'm going to give a bit of tips and tricks here about my process in shading. And it's about color picking. So I'm going to just adjust my body here, get my coffee, get ready. Okay. So when I'm shading, and I'm going to just take the face here, for instance. I have a skin color. It's the flat color, or sometimes maybe it's the mid-tone color, sometimes it's the lightest color, sometimes it's the darkest. In this drawing, the flat color for the skin is supposed to be the mid-tone. So that means I've got to add shadows and I've got to add highlights as well. And in that process somewhere, I am definitely also going to add in other shades. But shadows and highlights are important, okay? So I color pick the color directly from the flats layer, and then I make it darker, of course, because I want it to be shadows, but I also do what is calling hue shifting. And hue shifting is, you can look it up, but in short, hue shifting is just, it means to shift color. Hue is just a fancy word for color. In this case, Blossom's skin is somewhere between yellow and red, so it's kind of orange. So for my shadow, I took her skin color, made it darker. I also upped up the saturation a little bit, and then I shifted the hue or the color more towards red, because I wanted to have redder shadows. And then when I come to the highlights, I do the exact same thing, only opposite. So I pick up the skin color again, I make it lighter, and I desaturate it a bit. And then I hue shift it in the opposite direction. That means in this case towards yellow. So that gives you a whole broader color palette to work with. It doesn't always work like this, because there can be certain lighting scenarios where this is just not the case where it would work, but usually in just a flat white colored unified environment, this is usually what I do. And the same goes for the hair as well. In this case, the color that I chose for the lines on the hair is already hue shifted towards red. So I just picked up the color from the Lineart on the hair actually to use as my initial shadows. So that's what I do when I pick shadows for shading. I pick up the flat color that I already put down, and my flat color is always supposed to be like the middle tone. So I find the shadows by hue shifting and making it darker and amp up the saturation. And for the highlights, I lower the saturation, make the color lighter, and hue shift in the opposite direction. I just think it gives a very diverse and exciting color spectrum to work with. And my process for doing it is just that I start painting in the shadows really roughly, like just big chunks, and then the highlights, and then I start blending it together with whatever blending brush I feel like doing or feel like using that day. In Procreate, I don't have a specific blending brush that I go back to all the time like I do in Photoshop. But if I remember it, and if I don't remember, please remind me in the comments. If I remember it, I will put a link to the smudge brush or the blender brush that I used in this piece, so you can download it as well. It is a free brush that you can just download for Procreate. And sometimes I like to, as you can see here, make a big selection of an area I want to have some shading in this case shadows, and I'm just using a big soft airbrush to give it a more gradiated look, because I think that just, I don't know, that just looks nice and natural somehow. And then I start introducing some brighter colors. I think in this case I may have just color picked the highlight color off Blossom's hair over there. And once I've done this, I already have all the range of colors that I need to shade the rest of the hair. So I'll just pick up colors and then paint some bit, pick up a new color, paint some bit, and paint it on top of each other and below each other. And at some point I usually add an additional even darker shadow color and an additional even brighter highlight. So I actually have like 5 main colors that I use. And that's mostly only for hair that I have so many, because I really love to paint hair and love to have a lot of variety. Let's not go there again. Variety in the hair. And unfortunately I don't have time to finish shading the hair in this video, but it will be present on the video that I will upload to my Patreon once it relaunches. Shameless self-promotion, I know, but I gotta eat. I'm sorry, I'm getting really tired now. I better drink this coffee, hold on. Yeah, there it goes in like the darker shadow tone, just below her head, to give a more darker sense of depth in the hair. So on a completely different topic, I also just really shortly wanted to address a big thing coming up soon. And once I say the word, you're like, yeah, man, I knew it. It's Inktober. Inktober is coming up, and last year I had big plans for Inktober. I remember making my own prompt list. It was like a mix of Inktober and Witchtober, because I love drawing witches. And I think I made it. I actually have the book here. Hold on, let me see. I have the book right here. How many did I make? I made 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And I think I video documented 2 of them. And when I look at this now, I don't think it's bad. And I actually like all the sketches that I made for it. But my kind of work day right now just doesn't allow me this kind of time to be put into a project that's so long, and I wouldn't be satisfied with just making something really small, because I want to post it on my Instagram. I want to include it in YouTube. So I'm not even sure I'll have time for even one Inktober video. So I will not officially be partaking this year either. I just don't have the time, because I already have a lot of video slots booked up by a lot of things that I need to make, and it takes me approximately 3 to 5 days to make a video. This one, for instance, I mean, it's so easy, right? I just sit down and record for half an hour to 2 hours, and then I edit it, and then I make the speak. But it's still, I still do it over the time span of a couple of days, because then it needs to render, and then I need to find a good time where I can record the sound and stuff like that. So there really goes a lot of planning into making YouTube videos, by the way, which is something I want to also bring into my Patreon. Talk about my video process, my workflow, and how to edit videos, how to make graphics for your videos and stuff like that. Maybe that could be a stretch goal, to have like a celebration package with how to get started on YouTube and stuff. But that's just a thought I just had now. Never mind that. I'm not going to participate in Inktober. I will probably make a few entries. I will not be able to resist, but it will be like when I realize, okay, now I actually have 3 hours or something when I can draw whatever I want, and I'm going to make something for Inktober and then post it. So I'm kind of in it, and I might also, if I have brains enough to remember to record it, make something Inktober-ish for Draw With Me throughout October. That would be pretty in theme. I completely lost that word. Whoa, I don't remember what it's called. I only remember what it's called in Danish, and we're not speaking Danish. Yeah, so don't expect daily Inktober videos. I really envy artists that can do that. I mean, that must be so much hard work, and I have a hard time imagining that they didn't get a head start in September or something, because holy damn, that requires a lot of planning. Just doing weekly videos, right, exhausts me. I love it, but it exhausts me. So yeah, I need this coffee. So I hope you will just tag along in my Draw With Me videos that I will be doing for October, where I will try to keep it in theme with Inktober, which I think is a brilliant concept, but I have mixed emotions about it. After everything last year, there was a lot of drama about the creator of Inktober and stuff, and I'm not sure if I have my own opinion towards it, rather than I'm a bit suspicious now. So so yeah, we are near the finish line of how much I'm including in this video, because I want these Draw With Me to be just about 30 minutes. If you have any other ideas, just tell me in the comments below. I am, as I mentioned, very open to constructive criticism on these videos. Not necessarily art itself, but the video, the way that I make the videos. Am I talking too much? Am I talking too much? Am I playing the music too loud? Or am I screaming too much? Am I just talking nonsense? But yeah. So we are about to conclude this, and remember to at least maybe check out my Patreon in time for relaunch. You don't have to become a patron, but if you like to support me without spending a single penny, you can just share my stuff. That would also mean the world to me. And like and comment, because then you're telling the YouTube algorithm that you like this kind of stuff, and YouTube thinks, someone likes this kind of stuff, maybe this person will also like this kind of stuff, and then my videos get recommended to more people and the community grows and all that kind of jazz. It's like I don't remember if I said this in this recording or the previous one actually, but it's like the more, the more focus that comes on a channel, for instance Patreon or on a YouTube channel, the more time I can put into it. So yeah. So yeah, I really hope you enjoyed the second draw with me and I wasn't rambling too much. This is the finished drawing. Like and comment and subscribe and hit the little ding dong if you want to know when my videos upload. And sorry for rambling so much. I'm still getting used to recording like this, so it will get better, I promise you. Enjoy the little dancing duo and I will see you next time. Okay, thanks, bye. Bye.